The story I have for you today is very interesting one. Have you ever heard it saying a criminal is not born a criminal? They made into one. Every person is born innocent and good, but sometimes difficult circumstances and the time they live in can turn a good person into bad one. So today I have a story that's perfectly explaining the saying. As you listen to it, you may feel like you are watching a movie on Netflix. This man in this story even challenged the police in France by saying, "If you think you can catch me, come and get me." He was an extremely dangerous criminal and the police tried to arrest him many times. But every time they catch him, he somehow managed to escape. You may even wonder, was this man evil? How did he keep escaping? But when you hear this story, you will be surprised by what happened to him and what turned him into such a dangerous man. So welcome back my dears. Again, my channel name is called Nasri and all I ask from you is to subscribe. Now let's begin this story. This man's name was Pascal Payet and he was from France. We will start the story from his childhood. When Pascal was 8 years old, he lived with his mother and father. He had no brother and sister. He grew up in a very happy family, was raised with a lot of love. His parents taught him good manners. He was a well-behaved child. But there was one major problem in their family. They were very poor. Life was extremely difficult for them. Sometimes, if you managed to have lunch, they didn't even know where dinner would come from. Because of their difficult situation, the family decided to leave the city where they were living and move into another new city in France. After they moved to the new city, Pascal's father started looking for work. He wanted to find a job so he could support his family and take care of their needs. He looked everywhere. He was willing to do any kind of work, whether it was something he was experienced or something completely new. Unfortunately, he could not find a job. One day, while he was reading a newspaper, he saw an advertisement for a company that was hiring workers. He became very happy. He immediately told his family about the job and went to the place mentioned in the advertisement. But when Pascal's father left that day, the family did not know that it would be the last time they would ever see him. At that time, Pascal was only 8 years old and his mother was taking care of him at home. Hours passed, but Pascal's father did not return. His wife became worried. She had no idea what had happened to her husband, so she went to the police and told them, "My husband has disappeared. I don't know what happened to him. Please help me to find him." But the police told her that they could not officially begin a search until 24 hours had passed since his disappearance. With broken heart, she returned home and with 2 more hours passed. She could not stop worrying. She went back to the police and told them that 24 hours had now passed since her husband disappeared. This time, the police took the situation seriously and began searching for him. They searched the entire city. They searched every direction, north, south, east, west. There was almost nowhere they didn't search. Eventually, the police returned to the Pascal's mother and told her, "We have searched everywhere, but we can't find your husband." Remember, this happened around 1960, at this time when technology was very limited compared to today. The police then told her something shocking. They said, "We don't know where your husband went, but there are only 2 possibilities. First, he may have gone looking for work in areas controlled by almost dangerous criminals in the city. These gangsters were so dangerous that even the government was afraid to confront them. If someone entered their territory, it was very difficult for the police to get them back." The police explained that if Pascal's father had entered that area, there were only 2 possibilities. Either he had started working with criminals or they had killed him. The police told his wife, "These are the only 2 possibilities we can think of. Either he was killed there or he chose to join them because the responsibility of taking care of his family had become too heavy for him. Then they told her, "Unfortunately, there is nothing more we can do for you." Pascal's mother was devastated. Her mind was filled with questions, and she did not even know what to do. She kept thinking how it's possible that my husband would simply leave us and run away from his responsibility. That does not make sense. She believed that it was more likely that he had been killed. At that point, the woman was completely lost to hope of finding her husband. She decided to search for him herself. At the same time, she found a small job. As seamstress. The pay was very low, but even the little money helped her survive. It was just enough to buy food and buy the small rent for the place where she and Pascal lived. Unfortunately, Pascal could not go to school. His mother's small income was barely enough to pay for food and rent. There was nothing left for school expense. So Pascal grew up without an education. He lived this way until he reached the age of 15. When Pascal turned 15 years, he became friends with the same boys from the poor neighborhood where they lived. After all, people often come close to these who lived similar lives. Pascal started spending time with these boys, and they quickly become close friends. They spent their days together walking around different parts of the city. One day they saw some wealthy people. These people were living a completely different life. They saw rich men wearing expensive clothes and expensive watches. Some of them had beautiful women with them, and they seemed to have everything wanted. Meanwhile, Pascal and his friends sometimes did not even have enough money to buy dinner. The boys became angry. They looked at each other and said, "This is not fair. How can someone working hard all day remain poor and eventually die poor, while a rich person can steal money from others and continue living a comfortable life?" They felt that the world made no sense. But Pascal was uncomfortable with that his friends were saying. He had been raised to be a good and honest person, so the idea of stealing did not feel right to him. Then one of his friends suddenly pulled out a bag. He looked at the others and said, "Do you see this bag?" They all looked at it. Inside the bag was a large amount of money. The boy said, "I stole this from a wealthy old man." When Pascal saw how much money was, he said he was shocked. There was enough money to help him and his mother survive for several months. He said, "I stole it from a rich man. If we started doing this job, we can live like these wealthy people we were just talking about." At the first, Pascal could not believe it. He was hesitant and did not want to join them. He remembered his mother's difficult life. He remembered how hard she worked every day just to feed them and pay their rent. Sometimes she would come home with her fingers injured because the sewing machine had hair. She was living in a terrible condition just to keep them alive. Then his friend said something that made Pascal think differently. He told him, "You are always talking about how difficult our lives are. But what about the police? Why didn't they properly search for your father? Where did your father go? If the government was not corrupt, do you really think your father would have disappeared without trace? Would not they have found him somehow?" These worries opened Pascal's eyes. For the first time, he began to think that maybe the world was not fair as he had believed. He started thinking about joining his friends and stealing from wealthy people. Finally, Pascal told them, "I'm ready. I will work with you." The boys then began planning their first robbery together. They discussed how they could steal from wealthy people who come into the city. Eventually, they chose to target coastal areas where wealthy travelers arrived by ships and boats. They come up with this simple plan. One of them would approach the wealthy person and distract him. While the victim was busy talking to the person, other member of the group would quickly take the victim's wallet or bag full of money. Then they would talk away without victims realizing what had happened. This was the same method that Pascal's friend had used when he stole the bag of money he had shown them, and this was how Pascal's life as criminal began. We have seen this kind of robbery in many movies before, and this was exactly the plan Pascal and his friends decided to use. The next day, they prepared themselves and went looking for their first target. They spotted a wealthy man wearing a beautiful watch and expensive clothes. They looked at him and said, "That is the man we are going to rob." The man was walking through the busy market. One of Pascal's friends walking up to him and bumped into his shoulder. He immediately said, "I'm sorry, I didn't see you." While the man was distracted by him, other members of the group quickly took the man's wallet from his pocket. But the man was quickly realized that his wallet was missing. As soon as he realized what had happened, he started shouting, "Help! Thief! Thief! Somebody can catch him! Somebody catch him! Somebody catch him!" Everyone around them tried to look. Pascal and his friends became terrified. They suddenly ran away as fast as they could. The people into the market started chasing them, and the police also heard the shouting and joined the chase. The entire group was now being chased by the police. Remember, this was their first robbery. Pascal had never done anything like this before. He became so frightened that he froze. He couldn't move. He just stood there in shock. One of his friends looked back at him and shouted, "What's wrong with you? Are you crazy? Do you want them to catch you? Come on, run!" Pascal finally started running. The group continued escaping through the streets. They kept running to different alleys and small streets while the people and the police chasing them. Luckily for them, they knew the city very well. They knew all the streets and shortcuts. Eventually, they managed to lose the people chasing them. The police could no longer find them. The boys had escaped. When they finally reached a safe place, they took out the wallet they had stolen. They opened it and looked inside. And what they found shocked them. There was a huge amount of money inside. It was more money than they had ever seen before. They were extremely happy. They had successfully completed their first robbery. They divided the money fairly among themselves, and each of them went home. When Pascal arrived at his house, however, he found his mother crying. Her debt had become overwhelming. She was in such a difficult situation that it was heartbreaking to see her. Pascal walked over to her and said, "Mom, I earned some money. Here, take this." His mother looked at the money in disbelief. She couldn't understand where her son had gotten so much money. She asked him, "Where did you get this money, my son?" Pascal replied, "Mom, I found a way to make money in this city. I have been working hard, and this is what I earn." Then he gave her the money and said, "This should help us. Use it to pay everything we owe and take care of everything we need." You can't imagine how happy Pascal's mother became. For the first time in a long time, she felt that maybe their difficult life was finally changed. But this was also the moment when something dangerous happened inside Pascal's mind. The voice of the people around him started convincing him. "Look how your mother happy is. It's still working, isn't it? You have found a way to make money. Keep going." Pascal had already made it his mind. He said to himself, "I don't want to see my mother suffering anymore. From now on, I will make her happy every day," and that the decision would change Pascal's life forever. They continued living this way, robbing people whenever they found an opportunity. Some days they would successfully rob someone, and other days they would find no target at all. But eventually the police caught them. Pascal was arrested. The police contacted his mother and told her, "Your son had been arrested. You need to come here." His mother had no idea that her son had become a thief. Pascal had lied to her and told her that he was working and making money honestly. When she saw him in prison, she could not believe in what was seeing. She looked at him and said, "Why did you do this? Didn't I raise you to be a good person?" She was completely shocked and disappointed. Pascal was sentenced to several years in prison. But while Pascal in prison, something heartbreaking happened. His mother became seriously ill. Her health continued to get worse until both her kidneys stopped working. Eventually, Pascal's mother died. The news reached Pascal while he was still in prison. At first, he couldn't believe it. He was devastated. The man who had wanted to save his mother and give her a better life had lost her. The person he had been trying so hard to help was now gone. After some time passed, Pascal eventually completed his sentence and was released from prison. You may think that this was the moment when Pascal finally realized his mistakes and decided to leave crime behind. But the real story was only beginning now. After leaving prison, Pascal decided that he was no longer interested in stealing a small amount of money from ordinary people. This time he wanted to steal a huge amount of money. Pascal reunited with his old friends, and together they started planning another robbery. They met and began thinking about the best way to carry out a much bigger crime. Eventually, they chose a new target. They decided to rob a car that transported money for bank. Usually, the car was accompanied by army security guard whenever transported large amount of cash. Pascal and his friends studied movements carefully. They discovered that there was a particular quiet areas, isolated roads that car passers regularly used. Very few people lived in that areas that car pass. They also believed that there would not be many security forces nearby, so they come up with a plan. They would stop the vehicle, attack the security guards, and steal the money. They appeared weapons and everything else they believed they would need. They waited for the perfect night to carry out the robberies. It was November 1997. The night was dark and there was a heavy fog covering the area. Pascal and his friends believed it was perfect night for their plan. They surrounded the isolated road where they expected the vehicle to pass. Eventually, the vehicle appeared in the distance. As soon as it came close, Pascal's group opened fire from both the front and the back. Security guards traveling with the vehicle immediately returned fire. A violent gun battle began. Bullets were flying everywhere. During the shooting, one of Pascal's friends was seriously injured. The others tried to help him and wanted to escape from the area, but Pascal shouted at them, "If you run away now, we were all going to die here. Stay and finish the job. Keep fighting," he said. His friends listened to him. They stayed and continued fighting. As the gun battle continued, Pascal and his group managed to overpower the small security team protecting the vehicle. Or car. They shot and killed the driver. The remaining security guards were forced to retreat. Some of them were badly injured. Eventually, the guards fled the area. Pascal and his group finally had control of the vehicle. They took the money. At this time, they had stolen an unbelievable amount of cash. They had captured nearly $17 million. The group thought they had succeeded. They started preparing to leave, but then Pascal suddenly noticed something terrifying. A large number of police officers were heading directly toward them. They had no idea what to do. The police had been alerted about the gunfire. An old father who lived nearby had heard the shooting and contacted the authorities. He told the police, "There is shootout happening over here. There is shootouts happening over there. I can hear gunshots. You need to go there quickly." The police immediately rushed to the scene. When Pascal and his friends saw the large number of officers approaching, they had no choice. They abandoned the area and ran away. That night, however, the police were unable to capture them. The next morning, The whole of France was shaken by what had happened. People could not believe that a group of criminals had managed to steal such huge amount of money and then disappeared without leaving any trace. The whole country was talking about the robbery. The police were heavily criticized. People were asked, how could this happen? Was an entire bank robbed? The police were under enormous pressure. Pictures of Pascal and his entire group were put everywhere. Their photos were displayed on the walls and in public places with warnings saying, these men are dangerous criminals. If you see any of them, report them immediately. Their pictures were everywhere, but Pascal and his group had already planned their escape carefully. The police searched for them everywhere, but they could not find them. Meanwhile, the criminals divided stolen money among themselves and disappeared. Then came the year 1999. This was the year Pascal and his friends would finally be caught again. One day, Pascal and one of his friends were carrying a huge amount of cash. They had around 600,000 in a cash with them. Pascal then wanted to car the leadership. He wanted to buy a BMW car. At that time, a BMW was an expensive car, and Pascal had unusual large amount of cash with him. He started paying for the car entirely in cash. The car declarer was shocked. He looked at Pascal and thought, where did this man get so much money? He immediately became suspicious. The declarer remembered that a bank had recently been robbed. He started thinking, so the dealer told Pascal, I will prepare you a paperwork for you. Please wait here. But as soon as Pascal left, the dealer called the police. He told them, there is a man here I suspect. Please come immediately. When the police arrived, they did not arrest Pascal right away. Instead, they decided to follow him, find out who really he was. The man who had bought the expensive car simply left the dealership, continued with his life, but the police secretly followed him. Eventually, they discovered that Pascal regularly went to a farm located in a remote area. Every day he would go there. The police surrounded the farm. They began wondering, what is inside this farm? Then they realized something shocking. Pascal and his entire group had hidden there for years. The police suddenly surrounded the whole group. The criminals had no idea what was happening. The officers shouted, don't move. If you make any sudden move, we will shoot you. Put your weapons on the ground and slowly come toward us. Pascal could not believe it. How did they find us? How did they know we were here? He couldn't understand it. It felt impossible. The group became completely confused and frightening. One by one, Pascal and his friends were arrested. Pascal was taken to prison. He remained there for months while investigators worked on the case and prepared everything for his trial. Eventually, the day of his trial arrived. Pascal was brought into the courtroom. At that time, the media described him as one of the most dangerous criminals in France. Almost every major media organization in the country was waiting outside the courtroom. Journalists and reporters had gathered because everyone wanted to know what would happen to Pascal. People wanted to hear what he would say. They wanted to know what sentence he would receive. When Pascal entered the courtroom, however, many people were surprised by his behavior. He was extremely calm. He looked like a man who did not care whether he was going to prison or not. Seemed to make no difference to him. The prosecutors accused him. They also accused him of being involved in violent injuries and killings. The judge told him that his crimes were extremely serious. Finally, the court sentenced Pascal to 30 years in prison. Everyone expected Pascal to react. They thought he would say, "That's not fair. I didn't do all of these things. They were waiting for him to defend himself, but Pascal did nothing. He simply looked at the court. He did not argue with the sentence. He did not ask for the judge to reconsider. He did not even say anything. Why are you giving me this? He did not even say, why you are giving me this sentence. He remained completely silent. The judge was surprised. The people in the courtroom were also confused. They wondered what was going on inside Pascal's mind. Finally, the judge asked him if there is anything you wanted to ask the court, or if you believe you have been treated unfairly. You have the opportunity to speak now. Then Pascal finally spoke, and what he said touched the hearts of many people in the courtroom. Pascal said, "When I was a child, my father disappeared. My family had no idea what happened to him. The authorities did not make enough effort to find him. They told us they didn't know where he had gone or whether he was dead. They simply told us they didn't know what had happened to him." Then Pascal continued, "But the day I stole government money, the entire country of France rose up. So could not the people of France say, what about the money was stolen from the people? What about the money that was stolen from the people of France? Isn't the government supposed to do this job?" When Pascal said these words, many people were shocked. The public became divided. Some people started saying, maybe this man isn't completely bad. Maybe the government and the authorities played a role in turning him into criminal. They believed that the authorities had fired Pascal and his family when he was a child. They believed that the authorities had fired Pascal and his family when he was a child, and that those failures had helped push him toward the life he eventually chose. Because if we are being honest, Pascal had gone through a very difficult childhood. His father disappeared when he was still very young, and no one ever properly explained what had happened to him. Then while Pascal was in prison, his mother died. That was an extremely painful life for a young man to experience. This is exactly what people mean when they say a criminal is not born a criminal, it's made. Some people believe that if the authorities helped Pascal's family when he was young, if they had found his father, found his body, or rescued him from whatever situation he was in, Pascal may have grown up differently. Maybe he wasn't have become the man he was now. But the failure of authorities had contributed to everything that happened later. Pascal had also seen wealthy people living a luxury lives, while some of them were involved in robbery and other illegal activities. So rich people gaining respect and power because of their money, while poor people were treated badly. And he remembered that his own mother had received no real help. She had struggled her entire life and eventually died while Pascal was in prison. All of this experience had left him deeply hurt and angry. But after Pascal was sent back to prison, something unexpected happened. He began showing another side of himself. He openly challenged the entire French system. He basically said, "You managed to arrest me, didn't you? Then come and catch me again. If you think you can stop me, try." Even while he was sitting in prison, Pascal continued thinking about how he could escape. Then one day something strange happened. Pascal received visitors. An old man, an old woman, and a young man came to see him. When Pascal looked closely at them, he was shocked. He never expected anyone to visit him. He was basically alone in this world. His mother was dead, and he had no family left to visit him. So when these three people sit in front of him, he immediately recognized it. They were members of his criminal group. One of his friends had distinguished himself as an old man. Another had distinguished himself as an old woman. The young man was also one of his associates. The disguises were so convincing that even the police officers nearby had no idea who they really were. The officers simply thought they were ordinary visitors or relatives. They had totally no idea that the people sitting inside the prison were actually some of the most wanted criminals in the country. And the crazy part of that was they had walked directly into the prison themselves. Pascal immediately understood what was happening. They started talking to each other using coded language. One of them asked, "How are the things here? How are you feeling? How is your health?" Pascal understood that they were not really asking about his health. He replied, "Things are difficult. The medicine they give me changes every day, and the doctor did not always give me the right medicine." What he really means was, "The security here is difficult and everything keeps changing." They asked him again, "What about the clothes? Did you change them often?" Pascal replied, "Yes, our clothes are changed regularly and the security guards also changed." They were actually asking about the prison security system and the guard of shifts. Then they asked another question, "How is the weather there? Does it rain?" Pascal understood immediately. They were really asking, "What's happening outside? If we come from above, can we get you out from there?" Pascal answered carefully, "The weather up there is actually very good. Sometimes some birds fly over there." It was all coded language. He was basically telling them that the area above the prison was accessible and that he could see things from there. Then they gave him the final instruction. They said, "Don't stop taking the medicine the doctors give you. Make sure you take it properly. Remember, always take it 5 in the morning." But what they really mean was, be ready at 5 a.m. in the morning. The operation will happen at 5 a.m. They say goodbye and left the prison. After that, Pascal began carefully studying the prison every morning. He watched where the security cameras were located. He observed when the guards changed shifts. He studied how strongly the security was and how was the guard moving around in the prison. He was preparing himself for an escape. Then one night, the perfect opportunity came. A huge storm hit the area. Heavy rain began falling and strong winds were blowing. That was the night Pascal's escape plan was put into action. Was put into action. As the storm became stronger, something unexpected happened. The electricity suddenly went out. The entire prison went dark. Immediately, the alarm began screaming. The guards started running around. Everyone was shouting, "What's happening? Why did the electricity go out?" The prison became chaotic. The guards were running from one place to another trying to understand what was happening. Then suddenly they looked up and they saw something terrifying. A helicopter was flying directly above the prison. The guards were shocked. They had no idea that the helicopter had been prepared specifically for Pascal. The plan was simple. While the electricity was out and the prison was in dark, Pascal would escape from inside the prison and make his way to the roof. Once he reached the roof, the helicopter would pick him up. Pascal was about to attempt one of the most unbelievable prison escapes France had ever seen.